Good evening. I'd like to call the Tuesday, October 2nd, 2012 City of Oldsmar Council meeting to order. Our invocation, our pledge will be led by our City Attorney, Mr. Tom Trask, and at this time I'd ask you to please join me in rising.
Heavenly Father, today may we be open to others' ideas and beliefs, respectful of our differences, not threatened by them. May we grow in understanding of our own motives, knowing that people often act out of their own fears. May we be a force for replacing fear with insight, helping us all to be patient and kind as we talk. Strength, real strength, can always find compromise. Working together, may we find common ground and enable us to move forward with a shared purpose. May we see what is truly important and focus on that. To banish roadblocks of ego and fear, today may we be open to others' ideas and beliefs. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody here this evening. It's hard to believe we're in October already.
Yeah.
We're in January.
Slow down.
Yeah, right?
You're wishing our lives away.
Gonna try something new this evening. I'm gonna try doing the council meeting without using paper, except for the set agenda that I have in front of me. I'm gonna go with the new iPad where the council decided to go paperless. I'm gonna try and do it without any practice or anything, so we'll see how I do. Our first item on tonight's agenda is our Citizens Open Forum, and this gives anybody in the audience an opportunity to address the council if they so desire. We have a few rules. First rule is when you come to the podium, please state your name and your address for the record. Secondly, I respectfully ask that you keep your comments to no more than 5 minutes. And last, please don't speak towards anything that's on tonight's agenda. And yes, sir. Would you like to address the council?
Yes, I'd like to do it. Well, my name's Marshall Klontz, and I live at 401 Jefferson, and I've been up here before, but I'd like to bring some awareness to the problem we have down here on Chestnut and Buckingham at the end where the elementary school is. On June the 17th, my daughter took my little Jack Russell for a walk down there. Of course, that day it poured down rain. That ditch that's along Buckingham, right, dead ends into Chestnut, goes into the school property right there. It was a foot above the road, so it was almost 5-6 feet deep there. But there was a whirlpool about this big. And of course, my little Jack Russell loved the water, and he got loose and got in that whirlpool and got sucked down through there and out the pipe and spit out the other side into the school property over there. Of course, he was dead.
Oh, no.
So I had him for 8 years, broke my heart.
Oh.
So me and Mr. Beeblin the other day went down there while the water was down and was looking at the problem down there. But if you recall, every time we get a hard rain like that, they have to go down there and shut off Bayview down there, put high water signs and all this down there. Well, it took him about as long as it took me and 30 seconds to figure out the problem down there. The pipe is only an 18-inch pipe down there. Well, the city went down there after I complained here a couple months ago and puts 2-inch pipes across the top of the concrete where it goes on an angle. Well, all that did in my book is make the problem worse now. Instead of taking 2 days for the road down there to drain, it's going to take even longer. Plus, your kid cannot stand up, because if he's small, it's over his head down there. The whirlpool has got him. It'll trap him down there and pin him down to the bottom of the thing, and he'll die. It's a silent killer. You can't raise your hand and say, "Here I am," or yell out or anything like that. So if they take and go in there and put a bigger pipe, which is right on the other side of the school property, is a 36-inch pipe. The water does not back up on that side. It flows great through the school property and everything. But the pipe across Chestnut right there is only an 18-inch pipe. So that is the reason that Bayview floods every time. And this problem's been going on for over 20 years. I've lived here 54 years. And nobody's bothered to fix this problem with Bayview flooding out. And it's pretty simple. It took me and him less than 30 seconds to figure out. And we're not even engineers. So I'd like to get something done so they fix it and put a right box there so somebody's kid doesn't die there, because it was a shame my dog died, but it really would be bad if somebody's little kid drowned there. And you know as well as I do, you see a whirlpool, a little kid like this, the first thing they want to do is go look at it and stand around it and Next thing you know, your buddy pushes you in it or something like that, and then we got some kid that drowns down there.
That's true.
I mean, if you go right down here at Park Street and St. Pete Street, we built concrete box years ago around there. Now somebody's stolen the grid off the front of it, but there's one on either side of the road there that was built. It was built right. If you go over here off Douglas, I don't know who built them in, but they put them in right over there when they built it. But now we got our kids down here. We can't do something like this and get this problem fixed and save somebody's kid maybe one day. I mean, I don't want my dog to die in vain. I mean, broke my heart the day that happened down there.
First of all, I apologize for the loss of your dog. I mean, it's horrible.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Is there something we can do about that?
Well, before we get into a discussion, Marshall knows this. By the way, Marshall had a stroke not too long ago, too, so he's got a problem there also.
Doing well.
He had a stroke.
He's doing very well.
Oh, yeah, he's doing
It'll be 2 months to learn to walk again.
Doing well.
One of the problems, and there is a major problem down there, there really is, but we found another problem too, Marshall, that underneath the chestnut is a weir.
Yeah.
I don't know why, you didn't know that because you
No, I
can't
didn't
see
know it,
that.
no.
Anyway, Lisa has went down there and Bruce brought up probably maybe one of the obstacles we're going to run against is swift mud.
Yep.
Because that's permitted down there.
That's a treatment ditch.
So what Lisa is doing, do you want to tell them, is it okay if Lisa tells
We're
you?
going to have Bruce respond first. then-
Oh, okay. But anyway, it's being looked into. We're going to see what we can do and can't do.
Well, that's all I ask is, I mean, that something get started on this and something happen with it. I mean, because I sure don't want to read the paper and somebody's little kid passed away. We just went through this across the street when that little girl had a seizure here and died over there. They had the funeral Saturday, and I sure would hate to have to see another one of them in Oldsmar.
Right. Let me ask Mr. Haddock.
Well, I think Mr. Beaverland kind of gave the update. It's being evaluated and looked into. It'll probably involve the water management district and the school because.
Well, we need to get on it and get something really going on it between the flooding and that happening and the potential to kill somebody's kid there. I mean, it's not something that needs to be put on the back burner.
Well, Marshall, we are doing that. We're going to do that.
Okay.
And because you brought it up,
Well, I'm just scared because if my daughter would have went in there that day to save my dog, it would have got her too, because at that time there was no grids on it. And the first thing happens when that thing gets you, because I was pushed in one behind Heath and Company when I was a kid on the almost 60-inch pipe over there, and it spins you around and you lose your balance, you hit your head on the
And
pipe.
you don't know which way is up,
You
right?
don't know anything. So, I mean, there's a lot of potential.
but the city is going to look into it and see what
Okay.
we can do.
That's all I asked.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council? Yes, Gabrielle.
Good evening, Gabrielle McGee, 101 Buckingham Avenue West. I just wanted to announce on behalf of the Oldsmar Historical Society that we'll be leading a historical walk of all the old homes in Oldsmar, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, the 13th, at 10 a.m. out front this building. There's going to be about 26 houses on the tour. It is a walking tour, so we want to remind everyone to wear comfortable shoes. Jerry's going to provide bottled water, and then I'll have some snacks. My house is going to be open during the tour for anyone who wants to see it. It's a 1918 bungalow. And then we're also going to ask Janice and Orchid if the Women's Club could potentially be open for the tour as well.
Absolutely.
And that's it. And it was in the utility bill newsletter. In case anyone saw that, that's just a reminder of what was in the newsletter.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Is there anyone else that wants to address the council? Nobody? Mr. Walters? Oh, I didn't recognize you back there, sir.
How could you overlook?
Very unusual for you to go third.
Yeah,
Or even
really.
second.
Jerry Walters, 1108 Robin Wood Drive. It's nice not having to be the first one to come up and
Pressure's off, huh?
pressure. Yeah, right. There's a couple items that I wanted to hit upon, and I'm hoping that these are things that the thousands of people who are watching the TV will be interested in too. In particular, there's two items that I did want to bring up first, and I know that it's of great interest, I think. First of all, I'm not planning on running for city council And,
Only because of his wife.
beside the point. The second item that I was going to bring up in particular was the idea that we have no more books to sell. We're out of Jerry Beaverland's history books. We do have them on file, and hopefully we're going to be doing a digital thing with it in the next couple of months. At least the library is going to be doing it, so it'll be possible to get it online, which would be a great thing. I imagine, what is there, 600 pictures on the one book, something like that?
Yeah.
So the idea of people being able to use that facility on TV would be great.
No, Jerry, I am writing an addendum.
Good.
To that book, to the written book. I've got about 4 or 5 chapters already written.
Right, and that's great. I probably, I don't know if Jerry was going to mention about your visit in 2 months, but can I do that, or are you going to do it? Okay. The Historical Society is going to be having a special visit from Vice Mayor Jerry Beaverland, who's going to be giving a report. I'm not sure exactly. That's Tico Hall? Okay, yeah. Come on up here, Jerry.
Jerry, we're both 2 Jerrys. Right. Jerry Antozzi, 509 East Shore Drive. Jerry Beaverland is going to be speaking on Oldsmar history, and he's always learning, so he's going to tell us some new things. It's going to be November 10th, which is the Saturday before Veterans Day. It's 10 o'clock at Tico Hall. And
okay, I have one more item, but yeah, thank you.
Yes.
We are having this month, and I believe it's October 20th. We've got the meet and greet again this year. This is the second time around, where all the organizations, nonprofit organizations in Oldsmar, are going to be using the arcade over at the library, and also if we have enough groups, we're going to be using the Tico Hall too. And this was a great success last year, and we're hoping that that it will be participated by not only new members but old members too. And it's something that we feel is going to be very beneficial to the city. One last item that I want to bring up. There is a very brave lady in our city who I feel needs some notation, even though you probably know her real well. She, at one time, when she had a problem, she was in a wheelchair and pretty well messed up in a wheelchair at one time. And now she is only using a cane, and I think she should be noted for everything that she has done. And it was Don Boer's wife, Jane Boer, and she is really in good shape now, and it's at her age.
She's a
wonderful.
trooper. Boy, she's a trooper.
And that's all I've got to say.
All right, thank you very much, Jerry. Is there anyone else that wants to address the council? Seeing no one else, I'll close the citizens' open forum. We're going to get out of the city council agenda. We're going to go into the Community Redevelopment Agency, where tonight we've got one item, and that's to consider a variance application to increase the fence height from 3.5 feet to 6 feet at 202 Park Boulevard, and this is a Snyder hearing. And Mr. Trask, do you need to swear people in?
Yes, I do. Anyone that's going to speak today on this variance proceeding, if you could stand up, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. You swear that the testimony you're about to give at this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want me to start? Okay, this property is located at 202 Park Boulevard, and it's a request to increase the height of a fence from 3 feet to 6 feet in the town center. The property borders on Park Boulevard, and the north boundary of the property and the western boundary is a public alleyway. So that's the picture of the residence at the front of the home on Park Boulevard. This is the northern public alleyway. So this is a view of the house from the north side of the home, fronting on North Alley. And the western alley, it's to the left, of course. It's the alley. It's at actually the rear of the home, but it's considered to have three or triple frontage because it's on an alley on two sides and Park Boulevard. The home also, there's a pool in the rear yard of the home, and there's an existing fence. It's a chain link fence and a wood fence along the alleyways. So staff reviewed this request against the 10 conditions outlined in section 3.17.3, and staff is recommending approval of the variance to increase the height of the fence from 3 feet to 6 feet in the front yard setback area from public alleys north and west sides for a corner lot, single-family home in the town center residential district. But staff is also recommending, and this is per the town center code, that the fence shall be picket style with or without bottom kicker board as required by the town center code and shall not be solid or wall-like in appearance. So I'd like to enter the staff report into the record, and if there's any questions, I'll try to answer them.
We don't have a picture of exactly what you're recommending, do we?
How does that compare? Is that
I don't have a picture. I think there's one. I probably could get one on my iPad and show you.
Okay, we're okay for right now.
Do you want a motion?
No, it's a public hearing. I gotta take that motion.
Oh, I thought you wanted, it was ready.
Oh, if there's any questions for staff.
My question is probably along the lines of what you're asking. I don't know how the picket fence, I think I know what it is. How does that compare to what fences are out there right now?
Yeah.
Well, the existing fence is like board on board. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, board on board or side to side, yeah.
Picket would be...
something you can see all the way through?
Yeah,
There's
through.
Like this much space in between each?
So it's not like a wall-like appearance that you'd have on board on board.
May I?
Sure.
Thank you. I am going to suggest, since they have a pool in the backyard, and if you were in the alley or in the parking lots, you would be able to see, they have a glass, I know the house, they have a glass sliding door, quite large, and you'd be able to see right into their dining room and kitchen. So I would like to make...
This is only questions right now for staff. This has got to be a Snyder hearing. This is not where you start making suggestions.
This is for her.
Is it a question, or are you telling her what she should be doing, or what you would like to see?
I'm telling her what I'd like to see.
Okay, we need to wait until the hearing.
Okay,
All the
okay.
testimony and evidence has been received.
Okay.
I believe when the code was developed, it was assumed that it would be facing on a street frontage, so it would be the front of the house, and we didn't want that wall-like appearance. But this is an alleyway, and I think this is definitely a special circumstance.
Do you have that picture again of the alleyway that we might be able to?
It's on here too.
It's two alleys.
There's two alleys.
So the
This one is
property
one, too.
location is like to the left of that picture.
But if you backed up one more slide, isn't there another photo? Oh,
This one?
that's it.
Well, okay.
But what's there now in that alley looks, whatever you want to call it, board on board, I guess?
It's both a chain link and
Okay, but no picket?
no.
Okay.
It's one right behind City Hall.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to clarify what was there.
All right, anybody else have any questions for staff? Thank you, Marie. We'll get back to you. Does the applicant wish to address the council?
Hi, good evening. My name is Rob Perrone. I live at 202 Park Boulevard. I don't really have too much to add, except that I would prefer a standard PVC fence that is not picket style. More, it would look like a picket style fence with the design, but would be a solid fence for privacy as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
This time I'll ask for any proponents or any proponents that would like to address the council on this issue. How about opponents? How about anybody that just wants to come up and tell us we're doing a great job tonight?
You're doing a great job.
All right, so from no one from the public, I'll close the public hearing part of it. Now I'll bring it back to council, and now, Councilmember Miller, you can take the floor and...
Thank you. I would just like to say this is a special circumstance, and since he is bordered by three public, places where cars are going in and out, I would suggest that we allow him to do that 6-foot fence that you can't see through.
Yeah.
I mean, even, is it like this, Rob? Is it like what do they call it? Not shadow.
Shadow box?
Shadow box?
Is that what they
Shadow
call
box
it?
is where they're not overlapping. There's a gap between them.
No. You don't want a gap between them because you can see them.
I'd be glad to submit a picture, but it would look similar to the board on board, except it's white PVC.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, how pretty that'll be. Oh, that'll be pretty.
I don't disagree with you. I think because the pool is there and if there's children, I think the privacy is a big issue.
Absolutely.
I think it looks better,
Absolutely. It's going to be beautiful.
especially in an alley.
Yeah. Thank you.
I agree.
I just have, I think you mentioned that you called that a picket. I wouldn't call, even though it's PVC, I wouldn't call it a picket. It would still probably be a board on board, but PVC style? Is that what?
The code requires.
Yeah, you'd have to do.
The code requires picket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
picket would be just, like you say,
With a gap.
Okay.
And they're not all board on board. The one I have is just like
Oh,
that.
some are just sandwiched.
Mine are just, just like
They
that.
look nice, though.
Wood, they're white and they look good.
They're also more
last for
expensive.
a long time.
Yes,
I
they
get
are.
to put bleach on them every once in a while.
They hold up.
Yeah.
And it'll be so pretty. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Nope.
What was the motion?
Want to add anything, Marie, or?
No, just that the variance is from 3 feet to 6 feet, not 3.5.
Right. All right, now I need the motion for the
You got
3
it.
feet to 6 feet, but I need
Second.
that we're not going to go with staff's recommendation and allow him to do the PVC fence.
Correct.
Okay, is that what the seconder is agreeing to?
That's what the second's agreeing
All right,
to.
any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Beaverland?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Aye.
Councilmember Beavis?
Aye.
Councilmember Norris?
Yes.
Mayor Roniker?
Aye.
The variance is approved with five votes for and 0 against with the solid wall.
Okay, thank you very much, congratulations. Now we're going to get out of the Community Redevelopment Agency and go back into the City Council. And our first item on tonight's City Council agenda is the consent docket. We've only got one item tonight, and that's to authorize a secondary disaster debris removal and disposal contract with Ashbritt Incorporated, and that's a Pinellas County contract piggyback. Does anybody wish to question anything on that? Then I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Under City of Oldsmar, we've got the proclamation for National Fire Prevention Week, and I'm actually going to read that from paper and not from the iPad. And this is from the Office of the Mayor, Oldsmar, Florida, Proclamation 2012 Fire Prevention Week. Whereas, the City of Oldsmar is committed to ensuring the safety and security of those living and visiting our city. And whereas, fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at the greatest risk from fire. And whereas home fires killed more than 2,600 people in the United States in 2010, according to the latest research from the nonprofit National Fire Protection Association, and fire departments in the United States responded to more than 369,000 home fires. And whereas residents who have planned and practiced home fire escape plans are more prepared and therefore will be more likely to survive fire. And whereas only 1/3 of Americans have both developed and practiced a home fire escape plan. And whereas almost 3/4 of Americans do have an escape plan, however, less than half have actually practiced it. And whereas 1/3 of American households who made a plan estimated they would have at least 6 minutes before a fire in their home would become life-threatening, the time available is often less. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half. And whereas Oldsmar first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through the prevention and protection education. And whereas the 2012 Fire Prevention Week theme, Have Two Ways Out, effectively serves to remind us to develop and practice a home fire escape plan during Fire Prevention Week and year-round. Now, therefore, I, Jim Roniker, Mayor of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, do hereby proclaim October 7th to 13th, 2012 as Fire Prevention Week throughout the city, and I urge all citizens of Oldsmar to practice their home fire escape plan and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of Oldsmar's Fire and Emergency Services, dated this 2nd October, 2012. Jim Roniker, Mayor. And Chief, are you coming up, or is everybody coming up? No. Come on up. Congratulations.
Just a quick little background on this. The Fire Prevention Month and Fire Prevention Week specifically, it's an offshoot of something that actually happened many, many years ago. A lot of people realize or think that the National Fire Prevention Week commemorates the Great Chicago Fire. Everybody know that? What year was that?
61.
No, not.
I'll just tell you.
1892 or something.
1871.
1871?
That's what I meant.
October
I should
8th,
know
9th, and 10th, 1871. 350 people
Eastern
were
Standard
killed.
Time.
The exact same 3 days in Pastago, Wisconsin, 1,500 people were killed at a fire that people don't remember. Those 2 fires happened the exact same time frame. So it actually commemorates both those fires. And this year, the plan for having 2 ways to get out of your house, we're actually having that brought down to the kids level as well. And they're telling them to be rabbit ready, because if you know how rabbits live, they always have more than one way out of their house if someone's chasing them. So we're going to talk to the kids at the school this year and make sure that they get out there, and they're very responsive to doing this type of training. They have to drag mom and dad to get out there with them too. So we like them to have 2 plans, 2 ways to get out of their house if there's a fire, and we'll be meeting with a lot of the school kids this coming month.
You should just shift.
On my far right, hailing from Chris, that's it. Woo, Chris Caverna, firefighter EMT, Renee Neiman, firefighter paramedic, Dave Young, firefighter paramedic, and Dave Smolinski, firefighter paramedic.
Let's hear it for our firefighters. We don't want the mic. And I've said this many times, we're fortunate to have some of the finest in the business in our city. So hats off to you guys. But hats off to Oldsmar Fire Rescue.
Got that right.
Next up, we've got, this thing shuts off when I'm away from it. City manager. Nothing from the city attorney, right?
Well, I do have one thing, if you don't mind, if I could just take a minute. A couple of weeks ago, he gave me the authority to begin the foreclosure process on the code enforcement lien against Robert Dameth from year 2000, 2004. And I just wanted to let you know that I did send a demand letter to Mr. Dameth prior to filing that lawsuit. I did receive a phone call from him today, and he said he was going to pay those liens before we actually file the lawsuit. He's asked for a little bit of time to the end of the month. I said that was acceptable. And so hopefully we'll get a check from him, and we won't have to file that actual foreclosure case.
Good.
But I just wanted to give you the heads up on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think that works out a lot better for everybody.
Sure. I believe you predicted that too.
Yeah.
There is a flaw on the iPads, because when I went from the proclamation, it went right to city manager. So careful with that. Now we're at city manager.
Would that be an indication that possibly he's not going to get for court? He's not going to lose it.
He's not going to lose what?
His business?
He's not going to lose the building?
Oh, the building?
Oh, no. There's so much equity in that property, and so if he pays the money that is due, we won't even begin the foreclosure process.
I know that, but there's
No,
nothing
that's
else
not what he
against
meant.
him, right?
Is that what you meant? Oh, I thought you meant, does that affect his
No.
losing the building or whatever?
No,
That's what I
no,
thought you
no,
said.
no,
Okay,
no.
sorry.
Oh, okay.
If he pays, it'll be done with. We'll release the lien, and he can move on.
Okay.
All right, thank you. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 4, consider adoption of Resolution 2012-17, approving the local agency program agreements for phases 3 and 5 of the Oldsmar Trail. You'll recall that earlier this year, actually, I think it was in August, the council approved agreements for phases 1, 2, and 4. These last 2 phases have been moved forward in the DOT work program, and this is funded 100% by a federal grant administered by the Florida Department of Transportation. And the trail project, of course, has been around for quite a few years, and the funding has been allocated through the Pinellas MPO. Phase 3 is in the amount of $477,950, and Phase 5 is in the amount of $518,050. This would be by resolution. I'll read Resolution 2012-17 by title only. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, approving the local agency program agreements between the State of Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT, and the City of Oldsmar, numbered 41573845801 and 41573865801, authorizing the mayor and city manager to sign the agreements on behalf of the city and providing for an effective date hereof. That's the reading of Resolution 2012-17 by title only. I recommend its adoption. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to respond to those.
Just have the comment that any time that we get $996,000 for our trails to actually finish paying for the trails.
This will be the last two phases, yes,
You
sir.
really don't want to ask questions.
They'll take it away. This is a good thing. I need a motion for Resolution
So moved.
2012-17.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Opposed? All right, trails are paid for.
Nice.
Anything else?
That's all for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. City Clerk?
Yes, agenda number 5, consider the 2012 Veterans Memorial Wall applications, exceptions. All applications that come in that don't meet all the criteria, the Veterans Memorial Advisory Board will meet and make a recommendation to council on those exceptions, and that's what's before you today. The first one is Jerry Custon. He's an exception because he does not live in the city of Oldsmar, and the board has recommended that the city council approve the exception in recognition of Jerry Custon's service to the community, similar to Mr. Bilirakis, who is on the wall as well. The next exception is Richard Yantis, and he's the father of Sudi Yantis, and they said that there was not enough proof of residency. Since this meeting, I did contact Suda, and Suda has said that she has evidence of Richard's residence in Oldsmar, and she has brought some copies here today.
Well, are we going to do them one by one, or are we just do them all at once?
That's up to you.
You want to do them one by one? Then we got to go start with Jerry.
Okay, one by one.
You got to bear with me. I don't know what page number.
70. Oh, wow. You can scroll off to the left. You can.
I have a question there, whenever you get ready for questions.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Do we know what the vote was on the Veterans Committee on Jerry Custon?
It was all 4-5-0.
It was 5-0?
For Jerry.
I mean, Jerry literally lives on the border of Oldsmar. And, I mean, I think his address is Oldsmar. He's just not in the city of Oldsmar.
Well, I only asked that question because at one time, one of the board members was against anybody that didn't live in the city of Oldsmar being on the wall.
Right. And that's kind of why we formed the committee, is so the council wouldn't be making these choices.
Exactly.
Seems like it's coming to us today anyway.
Yeah, I was wondering why that was.
One of the committee members on the Veterans Board would not vote for a resident that was not, an individual that was not a resident of Oldsmar.
I think it opens the door to it happening forever. I really do. I mean, why do we have rules? But then again, the board recommended it. Like you said, that's why we have the board.
Well, I'm all for Jerry.
Defer to them.
I don't have a problem with that. But just because the board recommends something doesn't mean it's right.
Well,
of course.
I mean, if Gus Bilirakis, who was it, Gus?
Yes.
I think it was Mike Bilirakis.
Mike, sorry, Mike.
Mike. I'm all for it.
I'm not saying, I mean, the discussion, if it's, I don't know.
Why do we have rules if we're going to just, anybody that can petition that doesn't live in the
I think that's
city?
why you have the committee and they
Oh, yeah,
decide.
there's always got to be, it's always going to come back to the council regardless.
Well, what we did with Mike is made him an honorary citizen of Oldsmar.
That's right, we did.
So if you want to follow that.
That's kind of semantics.
Well, no, it wasn't semantic back then.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't.
I can guarantee you it wasn't.
I have no problem putting Jerry on it.
I don't have a problem with it.
The committee approved it, so I'm fine with their
Yes.
recommendation.
That's how I feel.
Okay, moving on.
The next exception is Richard Yantis, who Suda has.
Yeah, I've happened to personally know Richard for longer than I care to say, but it makes me old. No, probably 35 years. So I know he's lived in Oldsmar before because I've seen him in Oldsmar before.
And I do have the appropriate, actually, we have the property and casual with his name on it. We have the state of Florida and also my parents' divorce papers as well, which shows where all his mail was going to. So
Wait a minute.
I'd be glad to supply these
again.
copies.
Wherever your mail goes doesn't matter.
That's true, but I have all the others. I just had several pieces that showed.
say them again. You went so fast.
I have a Florida Residential Property and Casualty Joint Underwriting Association, which I believe has to do with the insurance for the house owned by Richard and Muriel Yantis at 4767 Lakeshore Loop, Oldsmar, Florida. I have a state of Florida license. This looks, I believe, a vehicle license showing for Richard Yantis, 4767 Lakeshore Loop, Oldsmar, Florida. And then I have in the circuit court for Pinellas County Civil Division recognized Richard Yantis at 4767 Lakeshore Loop also.
Where is Lakeshore Loop?
East Lake.
It's East Lake.
East Lake Oaks? East Lake subdivision?
Yeah, so is he not in the city limits? He passed away last year. It was just another nice way for me to remember him, and I thought that we were, as long as he was in the city of Oldsmar, but he's
not in the city.
He was in the, he wasn't in the city limits of Oldsmar.
No.
Okay. All right. I didn't realize that was the borderline.
Put somebody from East Lake in, Jerry Custon. What's the difference?
They did it based on community service.
Yeah, see, I got a problem with that. I mean, I do, I have a little bit of a problem with that. I mean, if he served and he lived in East Lake Woodlands, and Jerry's been on the Chamber of Commerce and have served, but that's his job. If we're gonna make an exception for one person, I mean, if we're not gonna follow the letter of the law for Jerry, why are we following the letter of the law for Suda?
Right.
It's like, why do we have rules?
Well, you got a great point. That's why I
Great point.
That's why I went along and made 2 meetings later, made Mike voted him as a citizen, an honorary citizen of Oldsmar. I mean, I agree with that. I mean,
I do too.
You do. Again, Jerry has.
This is tough.
Has had a great service for the city of Oldsmar. I agree with that. I mean, that's a hard decision. I mean,
I love Jerry, but it's
that's
his
a tough
job. He works for the Chamber of Commerce. So if we're going to make exceptions, I really.
I got to agree with your point that he works for the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber, which is West Chase, Town and Country. He services them all. I do agree with that point.
So if we're going to put him on the wall, and we're not going to, I don't know.
I have to agree with you, Linda.
I think we have to be consistent.
I do too.
Don't fall out of the chair, but I have to agree with you.
The lights are going to go off again.
We've had a number of people from East Lake that had tried to get on the wall, and actually one of them was really upset and gave everybody a kind of a rough time a few years ago because he said that he's in Oldsmar because he got an Oldsmar zip code. Well, you're not in Oldsmar. You're in East Lake.
County.
We either need to change it to all of Oldsmar.
And I understand where you're coming from there, but you got to be real careful.
Either change it to all of Oldsmar or stick to the rules.
Well, because even West Oldsmar is not Oldsmar.
No.
You know, so
Only parts of it. Little part.
Some of it are right, and today it might not be, but next week it might be.
Yeah.
You know,
we have constantly turned down one individual from West Oldsmar because they're not in the city.
That's right. We have. I remember who that is.
Lives on the first street over there.
Is this worthy of sending it back to the committee to determine a standing where the committee stands on City of Oldsmar versus?
Well, they've already voted.
But clearly we've decided that there's an inconsistency in our consistency.
Well, have we? No, we can just vote
right?
There really
no
is.
on both.
It is. It's inconsistent.
But you can vote no on both.
I think we should. I mean, I hate to say it because it's service and everything else, but I think we should bring it back to the committee and let them come up with a standard set of rules and then.
Yeah, but we have to vote on it tonight.
They have a standard set of rules.
But they're not going by it. They're making exceptions. And what if somebody just doesn't like somebody, you know?
Yeah, and maybe they just thought that we wanted them to make the exceptions because if you'll remember, I brought up that man's son, I can't remember his name, what was his name, that lived here and died before Jerry and Tony and Craig's son. And so I had brought that up since his parents live here, but he never really lived here. They moved here, I think, a year after he was killed. So we just sent that to the board too, and it's up to them to make that determination too. So
I think the board should review the rules.
I think the board has made it clear in their recommendation. Tom just showed me this that says recommendation Veterans Memorial Advisory Board recommends City Council reject the addition of these names on the Veterans Memorial Wall. The board recommends City Council follow all policies and procedures for all cases. The board cited several concerns, including the soldiers may or may not have been dishonorably or discharged honorably. The soldiers may have not have lived within the city limits, and allowing these names on the wall could open the door for other internet research lists to be submitted and added, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, or all Oldsmar veterans. The potential deluge could undermine the wall's meaning.
Well,
Those are for the last
that's
names
for the
on
last
the agenda
four.
items, not
Item three,
Jerry
that's for
and
just those three.
Suda's dad.
But that pretty much follows anybody.
But it
that's
goes
what I'd
against,
say.
but it goes
Yeah, but
against
they're going
number,
against the grain on one and not the other.
Exactly.
it goes against the grain of their approval on item 1, though.
Exactly.
I got a problem with item 3 when we get there, though.
If you've got one, you got to have the other, or you can't have either.
I think so too.
Well, to me, the reasoning, well, I'll wait till we get to item 3, because the reasoning to me on item 3 doesn't make any sense.
Well, and I don't know exactly where Jerry lives, but it seems as though Richard is closer to being a resident of Oldsmar than Jerry is. He's at least had I assume 34677 zip code.
And our businesses were
And he
right
probably
in town.
voted for being annexed into the city of Oldsmar.
Probably.
Long time.
And
And we paid our taxes to the city of Oldsmar from our business and all that good stuff.
I have a problem having gone to Jerry first and then this one. I think we and or the board are inconsistent.
Right. So we have to fix that.
As a member of the board, may I be allowed to address?
Sure.
That's what we needed, a member of the board. Thank you, sir.
Dave Tilke, 505 Arlington Avenue East. I'm the vice chair or assistant, whatever we call it on the board. We're very informal. I think if you read the rules that the board goes by, there's strict criteria, but one of the criteria does allow for names to go on the wall for persons that the board feels have done great service for the country, great service for the community. There is an exception allowed, so the board was going by the rules with Mr. Custon based on, there was a lot of discussion about his service to our country as well as service to the community, not just through the chamber, but just as an individual. So the board was going by the rules. It does allow that, but it must come before this council for final approval. So that's where that one was coming from.
But at the time, you didn't have the documents for Richard Yantis?
Correct. There was not sufficient documentation in the file for Mr. Yantis.
And that was the reason why he was not voted in?
Correct.
Well, and then it says number 1, the United States veteran who was honorably discharged who currently lives in Oldsmar. Doesn't say the city limits of Oldsmar. It says Oldsmar.
But Oldsmar is Oldsmar. It is.
So that would not disqualify her father.
No, but Oldsmar is Oldsmar. If it says Oldsmar, it means the city.
Well, I guess I don't
Why?
understand. Huh?
He's
Because it's Oldsmar.
But he's like, well, this is Oldsmar as well.
Oh, it's not.
Their address is Oldsmar.
Their address is Oldsmar.
Right. It doesn't say
But
in the rules city of Oldsmar. It says Oldsmar.
But they don't live in Oldsmar. They live in the county.
She's not disagreeing with that.
I'm making a point on semantics here and the way that the rule is written. The rule is not written in city of Oldsmar. It says Oldsmar.
Well, Oldsmar is Oldsmar.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the way I feel
Go
about
out
it.
there and ask anybody in East Lake Woodland if they live in Oldsmar.
Their address is Oldsmar.
My parents believe they lived in Oldsmar.
Their address is a zip code. Is a zip code that's set by the United States.
That's because we worked
government.
here too.
All right, what are we going to do? We're going to put them both in or both out? I'm for putting them both in.
I'm for putting them both in.
I'm not.
It fits the rules.
It doesn't fit the rules. He doesn't live in the city of Oldsmar.
It doesn't say that in rule in the engraving criteria.
Linda?
All right, well, I got 2 and 1. I need the other 2.
Hold on, where's the engraving criteria?
It's right here.
Keep going at the end of the application.
What page?
I would like to
Getting
point
changed
out that in a previous council meeting a few years ago,
75.
it was addressed East Lake Woodlands versus whether or not they should be an exception, and the council at the time had decided that East Lake Woodlands would not be allowed to, residents would not be allowed to be on the
Oh,
wall.
really?
Right.
Oh.
What was that?
What?
In 2009.
When?
Well, this says approved by City
2009.
Council 9/19/2007, the page in the book that has the engraving criteria, but it doesn't say City of Oldsmar. That's what I'm reading. It's on page.
They may have used an older form on the application. 'cause
The whole
those
point
are
for
out
starting the
there
board is I didn't want to get into these kind of
Exactly.
discussions.
Well, it sounds like there's a loophole in the board of whether you're a voting resident of Oldsmar or a resident of Oldsmar, as most people that have a City of Oldsmar address as their address often think that they're Oldsmar citizens. But I think it has to do with whether you're a voting resident. Maybe they need to address that. Fine tuning to help this for future reference.
Yes, they do.
I didn't mean to bring in a conundrum. I just hope to remember my dad in a special way for passing away last
Well, it's
year.
not really a conundrum. It's pretty black and white to me.
I got so far 2 for, 2 against, and I'm waiting for the other 2. I mean 2 for, 2 for, 2, 1 against. Waiting for Janice and Doug.
Could I ask a question?
What did you, yeah.
Absolutely.
Has anyone who lived in Eastlake Woodlands been put on the wall up to this point in time?
No, none, absolutely none.
And did I hear from?
Turned them down.
I was going to say, is that correct from that somebody has applied and been turned down?
Many of them have, and we've turned every one of them down over the years.
Ooh, then they could come back and scream.
And, you know.
So I guess the point I would make is that if you say yes tonight, you are changing the previous position of the city council that has been in place since the wall was established.
Well, you're opening up a big hole out
So you'd be
there.
establishing a new precedent.
Well, you're opening up a hole if you put Jerry Custon in.
That's what I think.
Well,
That's why I said, I'm fine putting them both in.
let me just share another little opinion, if that's okay, Mayor. I think the way the policy has been written and interpreted by the Veterans Wall Memorial Committee is that there are exceptions to the residency. If you are a veteran and you live or have lived in the city of Oldsmar, you're on the wall, no questions asked. There is a provision for some exceptions. And one of those is that you still have to be a veteran, but you have provided some service to the community, meaning Oldsmar. So I believe that the exception the board was exercising was that although Mr. Custon is not a resident, he has provided exceptional service to the community, and that's why they recommended him.
Right. I think we can all agree on that, but.
Oh, yeah.
If you're running a business in the city of Oldsmar, is that a service to the community?
Well, and I guess that's where
No, we've turned them down too. We've turned them down too.
Disagree with that.
and I guess that's my inconsistency, and our consistency is that, and I apologize, I didn't know your father, but I'm not going to put Jerry Custon's commitment to the city against your father's commitment to the city. I didn't know him and I don't know him. I know Jerry and I know he's, but as Linda said, his job is the head of the Chamber of Commerce for the city of Oldsmar, Town and Country, West Chase. And I think that, as you said, Mayor, for us to be the decision maker as to is Jerry Custon's service or commitment to the city worth more than your father's? And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
but I think we either have to approve both of them or not approve both of them.
Right.
I don't
That's
think.
what I'm trying to get us to do.
I agree.
But then it does open the can of worms as to, what are we approving it based on? And what's the criteria for the definition of contribution to the city?
Well, can we have?
Wait a minute. We got two criterias here. We got one that sets up here, then we got the board. They have their criteria. So what needs to be done is that's why we're having this discussion, and we shouldn't be having this discussion. So we need to tell the board that criteria that they're going by is not one we want. Because you want to use the word conundrum. I don't believe we are in one, but I do. We have a different of opinion here. That's exactly what's happening up here. So our criteria is different than their criteria.
No, we're trying to get our criteria to be consistent.
No, they should get their criteria consistent with us.
That way we could
With
approve
us.
anything they approve.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean the fact that we approved Mike Bilirakis, although he wasn't an employee of the city, he was an elected official of the city of Oldsmar, as opposed to Jerry, who's a Chamber of Commerce employee. I mean, there is a distinction, and I don't have a problem.
But we made him
which is fine. That's fine. But he was also an elected official of the city, of the city of Oldsmar and other areas. But elected by the people.
When I have some input, I just would like to mention Jerry Cusson is the vice president of the Holiday Sharing Fund. So we are a 501 charity group. We do things for the community. We just did the bike rodeo, which is on his own time.
Yeah,
no one gets paid. I just wanted to bring that up.
It's not a question at all, because I don't know Suda's father and what you've known him. I don't know.
Jim, may I? Can you repeat that 2009 thing you said? What they decided? What they said?
Well, it was the council that had addressed the issue of whether or not to include Eastlake Woodlands residents for engraving on the wall.
As a general, as a whole.
And the council had decided, because the council has actually looked through and set the criteria that the board uses. So
Did they set
It was also
that
probably
particular?
during the time we were trying to add
I was
some in.
not on the council in 09.
I was.
So
09?
that was the year I sat out. Yeah.
I was, I think.
We need to move on.
Yeah, you took my seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. You won my seat. Okay. So what do you guys want to do? Since I wasn't on there and I didn't have any input, I'm going to go along with the majority.
Well, we don't know what the majority is until you vote.
Based on my feeling is, and it has no bearing on your father or Jerry's, is that I feel that by not allowing her father based on his location is inconsistent or against the grain of number one with Jerry, and I have to say that if we're not allowing her father, then we can't allow Jerry.
I agree.
I agree.
That's my whole point. It's got to be one or the other.
And I say at this point that if they feel strongly enough about the criteria of your father that he's not, and the question is about his service, I feel that either the same should apply to your father, and it does open a can of worms. But at this point, I'd have to say no.
The committee voted him down because they didn't have any documentation that he.
Well, and I don't know, and maybe that's the question.
Lived in Eastlake. And they still vote him down because he lives in Eastlake and not the city limits.
Just brought to you guys just now.
Right.
He can't speak for the board, but I mean, I would guess that based on previous actions, Eastlake members have.
They have turned people down from Eastlake.
Okay.
The board has.
Well, then
there needs to be maybe a defined set of criteria for what the definition of.
Well, we're probably going to need to
tweak that.
We're going to need to vote everybody down, and they're going to have to come over find a set. We're going to have to come with a new set of rules, and it includes the WW1 veterans.
Can I ask a question? Are they allowed to reapply?
Absolutely.
I assume the answer is yes, but I'd hate to close the door on this issue. I think it's a very important issue, but I think we need to be consistent with kind of our criteria, and it appears that there's a kind of a gray area as to what's defined as contribution to the community. I don't know.
And personally, I'd like to interject. Again, if I had known that the criteria was not just City of Oldsmar, but voting residents City of Oldsmar, I may have looked at it closer myself before. I just looked at, we are very proud citizens of Oldsmar. I didn't look the fact that we were on that borderline.
Honey, it's not the city of Oldsmar and voting residents of the city of Oldsmar. It's the city of Oldsmar, period.
Right.
I don't care if nobody votes in Oldsmar. Oldsmar is Oldsmar, and it is the city of Oldsmar, and it ends at Eastlake Woodlands, and they told us about 5 years ago to take a hike.
And Eastlake should probably have their own zip code and their own city name, but at this point, I've grown up because I grew up there originally,
and maybe
living
their
in
own
Oldsmar
memorial park.
Their own
being
wall.
a part of this town, and
Their own wall.
didn't I know I was on the other side of the fence?
So basically, the board has voted everybody down. I'm changing mine, and I say we vote everybody down. We've defined the process.
Yes,
and then
and you can come
everybody
back.
can reapply.
I agree.
That's great.
Absolutely.
That's
But
great.
I still want to talk about item 3.
And I applied
Whenever-
last year and
whenever the
waited this
mayor
long,
wants to
so
get
I
to
will be
item
glad
3.
to wait and see if that type of exception is going to be allowed or not.
We got to
And
look at exceptions, and if there are going
still
to be
saying that I'm a proud citizen of Oldsmar, and my father had thought of the same way. So
And
I'm sure he did.
There's no question of that. I just want us to be consistent because
and I agree. I agree 100% because there is some gray area there and that's why I said I didn't mean conundrum per se, but it looks like we hit a spot that we need to define a little stronger, especially for those of us that are applying for these type of things.
It's a sensitive issue, and to turn some away and some not,
Anybody that served the country is worthy of being on their name on the wall.
Absolutely.
Well,
and as far as Jerry is concerned, I mean, we love everything that he does for us. We really do. But it's just, I'm not saying all of this stuff.
Well, he can come back.
I'm not saying all of this stuff because I don't appreciate everything he does. I think the Holiday Sharing Fund is a wonderful thing.
Well,
and he does put a lot of time in.
Way back yonder, the city council, this is how we handle it. If city council wants to do this, I'm all for it. Make Jerry Custon an honorary citizen of Oldsmar. If that's what you want to do, that's what we did with Mike.
But then we can do that for anybody.
Then we have to do that for anybody.
But that's where it gets into why is one.
Don't want to do.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Criteria for that also. But anyway, no, I just said if you want to do that. Right. I didn't say
Okay.
Rules are rules.
Yeah, I don't want to do
to
that.
the council and let you guys define. I mean, you guys are the veterans that are the ones that should be deciding anyway. When we set up the board, I always envisioned that this wouldn't happen to us up here. I just thought we'd just be endorsing it and moving on.
Yeah.
I didn't foresee this.
Well,
So we've got to define what the actual procedure is to get in.
May I say something? It's just like a contract. One word can make a difference. And in this particular case, city of Oldsmar.
But still, there are exceptions. There are exceptions that they're allowed to go beyond, and it seems that they did on one and not on the other. And how do you define community?
That's why
how do you
I
define
said.
community service?
That's why I said it.
How many silent heroes do we have in this city that do a lot for this city but want absolutely no recognition?
But they don't come forward. We don't know them.
No, I understand that, but have they not contributed to the city? And that's how do you define that?
I'm sure. Yeah, there has.
Yeah.
So based on the agenda, the committee only voted Jerry Custon in, and we're going to say no at this particular point. No respect to Jerry.
Right,
But,
right.
And then I guess they make some good points for the World War I veterans. I mean,
no.
you could pull anything off of the internet.
Okay, but wait a minute.
How do you know if it's right? How do you know if it's true?
I'm not going to push the point on the World War I veterans, but I want to, let me tell you, allowing these names on the wall could open the door for other internet research lists to be submitted and added. World War II, Korea. Well, that's what the wall's for. If they're from the city of Oldsmar, that's what the wall's for. I don't care whether they go on the internet or not. They can find them on the internet.
We just got to verify that they're actually were living here.
If they're verified.
Right. Then I have no problem.
Allowing names on the wall can open the door. Well, that's what I want. That's what the wall's for, is to find citizens of the city of Oldsmar that are veterans, that live in the city of Oldsmar, that lived here and served their country, in whatever war, Revolutionary War, I don't care. If they have everything down there, they go on the internet and find them.
Well, I agree to some extent with what you're saying, but I mean, we don't want, you can go into Wikipedia and write whatever you want about somebody. You can use the internet as a great tool.
Oh, but you have to verify.
I know. Let me finish. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be verified. There's all of our public records are on the internet. I mean, you can't just pull something up that said Oldsmar, because it could have meant East Lake Woodlands, and it could have meant this. But I mean, if there's documented proof, whether a tax record or something like that, and I'm guessing based on their recommendation, that is not the case in these three, that they didn't have sufficient proof?
My understanding, yes.
Yeah.
It was my understanding I was to bring proof that
No, I'm talking about the other three.
Oh, okay.
We're under the other three. About
the other three.
What is the proof that they lived here?
We just have to define the process for it, and the committee can do that and give us what the recommendation is. We can accept it, add to it, or go back to the drawing board. I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think the latter will be the case. But
in 1917, and I'm not going to argue this point. In 1917 and 1918, the community of Oldsmar. Bruce, you won that one. The community of Oldsmar, the establishment that was here, only existed from Forest Lakes Boulevard to Racetrack Road. For 20, maybe not 20, maybe 15 miles all the way around us, there was nothing here. So when they say they were from Oldsmar, that's the only thing here, that little tiny dot. On Hillsborough Avenue at the time, that was Oldsmar. Same if you said, I'm from Clearwater, that was over yonder. So when it says they were from Oldsmar, they said, I'm from Oldsmar. There was only one place here, a little tiny community out in the middle of the swamps. Okay, that's all I got to say.
So I will keep my paperwork if I have an opportunity. And at this point, until it's decided otherwise, my dad was not a citizen of Oldsmar, but he did have an Oldsmar address.
He had a zip code. He had
business, and paid our taxes, and volunteered.
He had a zip code.
Well, he had a business on Stevens.
Yeah, we had our business on Stevens as well for many years.
In fact, we've had business people that wanted to get on the board, and we've turned them down.
That would mean
I'm all for the more the merrier.
So.
But I need a motion to have the Veterans Ball Committee go back to the defining the process of the acceptance.
You got it.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any other discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing the results of our fine-tuning of the definition. Thank you.
Yes.
Just so when, of course, Mr. Tilke is here and he can give a first count and the other members might want to watch it. But I think if I understand the motion, just in what we would relay to the committee is that you're asking them to review the engraving criteria and suggest any amendments or changes that they might want to suggest to that, correct?
Yep. And also taking into account things that you can find off the internet for people that we might not be able to find a record of. You're going to have to find what that process is, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Like Doug said, you can't go to Wikipedia and just put somebody's name in there and say, oh, this guy lived in Oldsmar.
No, it has to be verified.
Now, I don't know how you go about doing that, but
I think we would rely on the committee to verify, or that enough evidence was presented, just like in the case of Mr. Yantis, they said no, but it was conditioned upon providing additional evidence or something. So I think they're probably going to be diligent in that. I just wanted to kind of,
and I don't even have a problem if they come back with the recommendation that
some other term.
They have the final word. I'm good with that.
Yeah, me too.
Before
I don't really want to do this again.
Before you move on, though, I have one other question, and that is, do you need to reconsider your action on Mr. Custon tonight?
We didn't do it.
Okay, all right.
Also, Bruce, in the recommendation that you're making, that they need to define the city limits of Oldsmar.
Or define the limits. They need to define the limits.
One of the things on their form under special exceptions is veterans who are non-residents. So that would be Jerry and Mr. Yentas. It doesn't. It just says veterans who are non-residents.
The boundaries
one of the
need
special exceptions that they could check.
And then I would question, and I want to move on. Question: what's the difference of having a business in Oldsmar or living in Oldsmar?
Yeah, I know.
What do you contribute more? Which way? Your business or your residency? The tax dollars you're paying a whole lot more in business.
Yes, but that's not the way that's not the way I look at residents.
Yeah, because then everybody from Nielsen all over the world
everybody's just as important.
Could be engraved on the wall.
Everybody's important.
No. I think the boundaries need to be defined. What is Oldsmar? Is it the city of Oldsmar? Is it a geographic area? What is it?
Well, after you hear from the committee, of course, you'll want to review what they have to say and recommend. And the council may, of course, incorporate amendments recommended by the committee, or you may have some of your own.
Absolutely. Yes.
He said.
All right, very good. We're moving on. Anything else for the city clerk?
Just to let everybody know that October 9th is the deadline to register for the November 6th election.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
All right, next up is City Council. Appoint representative to the Pinellas County Collaborative and School Transportation Safety Committees.
Don't look at me.
You want it?
Yes, in honor of you, because I see how many boards you've sat on over the years, and I've been so busy I haven't really sat on any, so I want to sit on this one.
Appreciate that.
I want to sit on that board too.
Oh, Jerry can. No, I'm just.
I sat on that board.
Do you really want to?
I sat on that board for 4 years. I still get their emails. No, go ahead.
You still want to sit on it?
No.
I need a motion to appoint Linda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations. First
They'll
meeting started at 7:30.
They'll let me know where to go, huh?
No.
I'll let you know where to go.
Let me know where to go.
Especially that committee.
Yeah, really.
We might have done some damage with that one. Comments by council members. We'll start with our new member of the Pinellas Schools Collaborative and School Transportation Committee.
Actually got nothing. I don't have, I'm good.
All right, we'll come right down. Councilmember Beavis.
I put my notes in my iPad, so I didn't have to write them down. My first note is I love the iPads. It's great. I got to tell you, the ability to respond and interact. I work in a business that has a lot of firewalls, and it's made it very difficult to access my emails. And obviously, when things become difficult to access, you tend not to try as often. You don't respond as quickly or read them as quickly as you should. I'm reading emails at 6 in the morning, 9 at night. It doesn't matter when they come. So I love the accessibility, and I think communications is the key to, a forward-moving council. And I think this is a great move. We got some things to work out and stuff like that, but I think it's great. The only other comment I have, or question I have, I guess, and I asked Bruce this tonight, is what is our plan with the old council building? Where do we stand on that, and what do we want to do?
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer that for you.
Sure.
I don't see anybody. I don't see a line of people that I thought were gonna come.
As much as we fought for them.
My understanding in talking to Bruce, there was a recommendation, but I don't know that it's worthy of keeping a building. So I don't.
Can we keep the wall? Is there some way we can keep it? Well,
we'll put it in Jerry's
Yeah, I'd like
backyard.
to, but I don't think we're going to be able to.
why can't we keep the wall?
If nobody's using it, it's probably time for it to go. We gave
Yeah, I mean,
the
we
community
fought-
an opportunity to use it.
Yeah.
You can't say we didn't.
Why don't we wait for
money.
the,
Mr. Mayor, we fought the
Nobody's
good
using it,
fight.
right?
Well, at least
We fought the good fight for these people,
Absolutely.
and they just didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's just not right for it to just sit there.
And it's not like it's the only place building. We have Tico Hall. We've got plenty of places people can do whatever it is they need to do.
I think we should wait for a recommendation from the city manager and then go from there.
All right.
You want me to tell you what that recommendation is going to be too?
Way we can keep the wall? Is there some way?
We need to put it on the agenda to
I
tear
don't
it down.
think that's at all practical. No, you don't have to put it on the agenda, and unless you're going to object tonight, we're going to proceed with the demolition.
How much a year is it
When?
costing us, Bruce? Isn't it like $100,000 a
It was
year?
like 12,000 a
It
year or
was-
something.
Yeah, something like that.
That was if we're
12,000.
gonna repair it and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Fix the air.
But it's still $12,000 that we're throwing down the toilet.
Well,
There's been nobody to use it though, right? Since we kept it open.
That's right.
Bring it
No,
up.
nobody's used it.
When everything is developed
Yeah,
over here,
because the roof needs repaired.
Exactly.
hey, when everything.
I don't object.
When everything's developed over here, it's going to be developed all the way around City Hall over to this side.
Well, that was originally the plan in one of the deals, and that would have been gone anyway.
But if it's not being used and it's costing us $12,000 a year, it's probably lived its purpose, it's
It
done.
did.
God, I hate to do this, but I agree.
It lived its two purposes.
Yeah.
Right.
Post office and city.
And it launched a great city council chambers now, so.
So unless anybody has a problem,
I don't.
proceed, Mr. Haddock.
Okay, thank you.
Pains me to
I
say
want pieces of it though.
No, it doesn't.
We want pieces of it for the Historical Society.
The wall.
The wall. Yeah, we want the wall for
Give
the
Jerry
Historical
his and Wanda's
Society.
head off the cars or whoever it is. I know it wasn't you, Jerry.
Those are just figures
Yes,
that some people
yes.
thought resembled the beaver ones.
I know.
It was
This
me.
one right here.
And tell me they don't.
You were the culprit.
I was the culprit. I was. Well, you were throwing things at me.
And I got to tell Rick, I wanted so bad to get pulled over in that DUI checkpoint the other night. That thing looked fun.
I didn't even know.
I had my windows down. I was ready to go through, and they're like, "Come on through." I'm like, "Dog it."
Chase people.
Yeah. Well, one person actually, when we were going through, I guess a lady or somebody
I gotta take my dog out.
tried to skip it and came out onto the road, and I don't know, it was kind of funny. It was interesting. So anyway, other than that, I have no comments.
All right, Councilmember Miller.
Thank you. I just have to say one thing about our real estate board. I am very disappointed in them for this pushing Amendment 4. I am very disappointed.
Don't look at me. I know.
They are only thinking about their.
Oh, absolutely.
Laura
wallet.
Chambers been for it too.
Well, I'm very disappointed in them too. Then I mean, they should know how cities need money. Also, the only thing I want to say is the meet and greet on the 20th of October is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the in the promenade there at the library, and it has the the women's club, the garden club, the organic garden club, the Friends of the Library, the Historical Society, everything is there. So if anybody needs to know anything about the city, from 10 a.m. to 2, it's a Saturday. And I mean, people say if they're bored or anything, hey, here's things going on in the city. And in fact, we'll have the senior center people there too. So, I mean, everybody's going to be there. So come out and see what Oldsmar has to offer. And then again, I want to reiterate the historic walk on the 13th, and that is at 10 a.m. That's a Saturday, October 13th. Historic walk downtown. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Doug, I put my notes on the iPad, Mayor.
Yeah, but you just wrote on it with a pen.
I can't find them. I can't find them. I don't know how to get them back. I mean,
Not to mention, neither one of us brought ours.
I'm having a miserable time with mine.
Me too.
Because I can't type that fast.
Linda, if you handle it right on the board, which you will, the school board, you can make a huge difference over there. I did. And one of the first things you want to bring up is Forest Lakes Boulevard and 580.
580, I was talking to Bruce about that today.
That's what you want to bring up over there. Okay, now, Jean Jorgensen has been an asset to this city for tons and tons of years. She has really been an asset to this city. And she did something that was absolutely, people don't do. She could have walked away with $25,000 and she didn't.
You're absolutely right.
And she called them all on the carpet. And because she did that, and she took it on herself to do that, she brought almost $250,000 to this city.
What'd she do?
Well, that's a long story.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
The library got a bunch of it. The other organizations got a bunch of it.
Club got some.
That's right.
Church got a bunch.
And over the years, she's been instrumental. And nobody fought for the Women's Club building any more than Jean Jorgensen. I was a part of that, and I'm telling you, she
You're
was
an
right
honorable
there.
member.
I know I am.
Or honorary.
Honorary.
He is. He's an honorary member of the Women's Club.
So I would like the council to consider this, and if you will consider this, I would like you to put it on the agenda. I would like the council to consider naming the Women's Club business after Jean Jorgensen in her honor.
I think that should probably come from the Women's Club themselves.
Yeah, because
he's an honorary member.
Orchid.
Talk to the rest of the committee members.
Okay. Orchid hasn't done what Jean Jorgensen has done for the Women's Club. Now,
ladies.
So, let the Women's Club discuss it and talk about it.
Okay.
I think that building should be named in her honor.
Well, we have already decided, and I'm afraid she's going to be watching this thing. We have something else planned for her.
We have something else planned for, but I think that'd be a great honor.
I mean, another honorary thing for her.
I think this is even more honorary. But anyway, that's up to the council.
We'll talk about it. Does
anybody on council have anything against that?
Well, the point is, I mean...
I don't have anything against it, but I think the Women's Club should come from the Women's Club.
Well, I don't disagree with that.
If naming of the building is of interest, it needs to come from the Women's Club, and let them decide who it.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see what they do.
Yes.
I'm not going to.
You have a history with that group.
You don't want to mess with them again, right?
Doug, that was your first education.
We have a meeting next Tuesday night at the Women's Club at 7 o'clock.
Well, then discuss it if you will, please.
So we will bring that up.
And other than that, just thank you all who you are.
All right, thank you very much. Got a couple things. First is, if anybody wants to participate, if you haven't been asked, tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning, a safe walk route to school for Oldsmar Elementary is what I'm going to walk with. They're meeting at Orioles Park at 8 o'clock in the morning and walking to the school with the kids. The only thing is I don't know how I'm getting back to my car once I get that. So if anybody wants to hook up with me.
That's tomorrow morning.
They can meet me at the school at like 8:15 so I can get back. But I'm going to be there.
Where are you walking?
Orioles Park to Oldsmar Elementary.
That's at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
No, 8 o'clock, not 6 o'clock.
You're not going to walk out in 15 minutes, I don't think.
I'm hoping. I'm already committed, so if anybody wants to participate, come down there and walk with us. I got an email this morning this afternoon from Eric Seidel, former council member. And we've got a young girl here in Oldsmar, 12-year-old, by the name of Genesis. And she's a 12-year-old girl, and she's got spina bifida. And it's a birth defect in which the bones of the spine do not form properly around the spinal cord. And she's going through a very difficult time right now. And Eric is friends with somebody that works for an organization called Wheelchairs for Kids. And to help this young lady out, they need $2,400. And everybody knows that Eric is very generous with him and Amber. And they've already come up with $500 of the $2,400. So Eric has asked me to ask the community and the businesses to help him raise the additional $1,900. And I think we can do that.
Can we put it on the website?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll give you all the documentation. He sent me I'm not going to read the whole, it's 4 pages, so I'm not going to read all the details, and I'm just going to give you the skinny on it. But I think between now and probably the end of the month, this council somehow, some way can probably get enough people to donate $1,900 to help them out for this young lady. So that'll be our goal for the next 4 weeks. So I'll give this to Bruce to look at it, and he give it to Ann. And she's 12 years old. I mean, geez.
Sure. Yeah, I talked to him today. So, yeah.
Right. And that's all I got. So I need a motion for the tentative agenda.
So moved.
You have a second? Got a motion, a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I was waiting for you to go ahead of time.